Welcome to Rich Sports Talk, your home for all the latest and greatest on the New York Jets, which certainly wasn't a lot today. We are coming live to you after Jets and Bills. If you're joining us during the live stream on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our latest content. If you're driving home from the stadium at MetLife, let us know what the experience was like in the stadium for you. If you're not able to join us during the live stream, you can always check us out wherever podcasts are available to like and subscribe. This was just a disaster. I've been thinking what the words are for this, but I don't feel like words can justify how bad this performance was for the Jets. And what's frustrating is whatever goodwill the New York Jets built after week one, with good quarterback play, with a good offense, with flashes of potential, it all came crashing down to earth against the Bills. And yes, I understand that the Bills are truly in a different weight class than the New York Jets. Yes, I understand the Bills are a better team. Yes, I understand the Bills have the better quarterback. Yes, I know the Bills have Super Bowl aspirations. But there were certain things in this game that, as a New York Jets fan, really disturbed me coming out of this game. There was a lot. And one of the biggest things that concerned me was the lack of energy there seemed to be coming out. This has been a complaint that we've had, especially about Robert Saleh and the teams of the past, how there seemed to be a lack of energy, that they didn't come out guns blazing, that this team came out slow. And again, it felt like that today. And there were so many frustrating turning points in this game. And I will get to all this. We will go down the list of all the failures in this game, what to look forward to going down the stretch run, and of course, previewing the Buccaneer game. Again, your chat, super chat, jump to the front of the line. There are many crucial points in this game. But to me, the last two games have had a common theme. There have been two players that I've talked about on this show ad nauseum for months now that should not be on the New York Jets. That was Xavier Gipson and Michael Clemens. Last week, Xavier Gipson had the critical fumble that changed the tide in that game against the Steelers. And now that game hurts even worse because you look at that game now, a winnable game, and a game that you feel the Jets aren't going to win a lot of games this year, and you look back and you go, that was a winnable game against the Steelers, and the Jets beat themselves. And today, they go against a team that's truly better. And I think for the most part, most Jet fans just want this to be a competitive ball game. They just want to come out of this game with their head held high and not their teeth kicked into the back of their skulls, which is what happened today. Michael Clemens, I said this last week with Xavier Gipson. Eventually, I got my wish. Michael Clemens should be cut today. And I understand Jermaine Johnson has the ankle injury. We'll see what happens. And I understand that you're not going to get all the turnover in one off season with a roster. I understand there's going to be certain positions you're not going to be able to address with a new regime. But I do not understand how Michael Clemens is on this football team. Week after week after week last year, I kept saying, how in God's name is he still on this team? I was coming up with conspiracy theories that he had some graphic pictures or some like blackmail against the Jets is why they couldn't cut him. Because Michael Clemens will always appear on your screen. Unfortunately, it's doing something completely boneheaded that screws his team over. The Jets had a 3rd and 19. Could get off the field against Josh Allen early. But instead, Michael Clemens, with one of the dumbest roughing the passer penalties you will ever see, occurs. And I'm at the point now, I don't care if it's McGregor. I don't care if it's Tyler Barron. I don't care if it's Eric Watts. At least with them, I have the feeling that they probably won't do something stupid. With Michael Clemens, I know he's going to do something stupid. And the one thing I said about him last week positive was, this feels like the first game I can remember where he didn't do something incredibly stupid. Well, guess what? Stupid reared its ugly head again and made an abysmal play, and he should be cut. He should be cut tonight. He should be cut on his way out of the stadium. Probably won't happen until Tuesday or Wednesday. And what really infuriates me about this defensive end position is this has been a position that I have been banging the table for. Get Tre'Davious Smith. Go out there and get Jadeveon Clowney. All throughout August, they're out there. This looks like a place where they could potentially want to come. This is an area where you need defensive depth, especially with Jermaine Johnson coming off an Achilles. You can call Jadeveon Clowney tonight. I don't think he's going to answer the phone because he's going to look at this and say, why am I going to sign up to this? Where if it's at least before the games happen, you have a bit of a selling point. And I know the defense, they might bring up as well, we're thin at defensive end. Well, he's one of our best backup defensive ends. At this point, I don't care. I don't care. He has been in this league for years. This isn't a rookie. This is a guy that's been in the league for years. And when I ask you to think of Michael Clemens, you don't think of a sack. You don't think of a great defensive play. It just infuriates you. So he should be off this team immediately. I do not care who it is. You want to change the culture here, Aaron Glenn. And again, right now, that's not looking too great after 2 games. But you have to send a message. You sent a message that wasn't acceptable with Xavier Gibson. You have to send a message with Michael Clemens that this will not stand. Look, there's so many moments in this game that were infuriating. And I'm just going to go down this laundry list. Again, comment below, comment in the chat what you think. There were so many points where it was like, okay, maybe the Jets can turn it around. We know Fields had the killer fumble, but the defense held the 3 points. Okay. Next drive, they're moving down the field. All right, get into Bills territory. Then end around to Arian Smith. Mason Taylor misses a block. It's 2nd and 20. Jets then, of course, can't get out of their own way. Then Josh Allen gets hurt. Somehow is bleeding, but comes right back into the game. But the one play he misses, Mitch Trubisky throws at Sauce Gardner, who did not have a good game, and basically looked terrible. Let me get into the corners because I think one thing needs to be pointed out. One play in this game, I think, is a microcosm of a lot of the problems with the Jets defense, which is tackling and being in the right position and the bad corner play. And I think one play sums it up perfectly. And that was the Cook long touchdown run. Up the middle, Quincy's around his ankles, but can't pull him down. On that same play, Brandon Stevens, who all week Aaron Glenn was defending, Aaron Glenn was saying, you know what? We like Aaron Glenn. He's got talent. We think he can be a very good corner in this league. Well, once again, he got his lunch money taken from him. Once again, he got abused at the cornerback position. Once again, he looked absolutely horrendous. And what really is disturbing to me on that play, Stevens has looked horrendous in coverage. That is one thing. But you want an attitude and you want hustle on your team? Brandon Stevens, if you look at that play, he gives up on that play about the 25-yard line. He backs it down a gear. He's like, I'm not going to catch Cook. I'm not even going to try. So what are you bringing to the field, Brandon Stevens? And this is my point. If the Jets are going to be bad, if the Jets are not going to be a good team and the Jets are going to struggle, I would rather do it with your young kids and do it with players who you hope to be building blocks to take their lumps now. Malachi Moore finally came in for Tony Adams. Tony Adams left with an injury, but at least I saw him getting key reps. I understand A.Z. Thomas has missed time, but if the Jets defense is going to be this bad, and today the corner room was horrendous, and what's shocking to me is Aaron Glenn. One of the things that I was excited about this hiring initially was this seemingly on paper was a very good cornerback room. And you were bringing in a head coach who was a former corner in the NFL and played at the highest level at the position. And last week, Sauce Gardner looked really damn good. This week, not so much. This week, not great in coverage. This week has Josh Allen dead to rights on a blitz. But instead of using his inside shoulder, your field side shoulder, so if you miss, you still force him to turn in, he goes with the outside shoulder, Allen spins off and gets a first down. And then you look at Michael Carter. and I brought this up with NYJ Reports. I said, Michael Carter really needs to buy whatever Brandon Stevens' favorite drink is. Because Michael Carter, let's just face it, he's been horrendous. Another big opportunity. Jets, who can never get off the field on 3rd and long, can never get off the freaking field, still in the ball game, falls down in coverage. Falls down, big play. It was just absolutely infuriating. And then what I think was the ultimate turning point in this game. Jets are finally driving. It's 20-3. It's late in the second quarter. They're in Buffalo territory. It's 4th down and 3. And the Jets kick a field goal. Now, did they do that because maybe they were afraid that they were going to get shut out if they didn't get the points there? Maybe. But I looked at this and going, you're from the Detroit school. 4th and close, you go for it. And here's the other thing. If this was a 14-point game or a 17-point game, fine. The field goal makes some sense. It now is a 2-possession game. But when I looked at it and I'm going, okay, you're down 20-0. It's late in the second quarter. You're giving the Bills the ball back with minutes to go. And on top of that, they're going to get the ball back out of the half. So if they don't give you the ball back in this quarter, there's a chance they could have the ball twice and potentially put up a 14-point swing before you even get to see the football back. And you're kicking the field goal there. So the numbers to me did not make sense there to kick the field goal. If it was 17-0, fine. 14-0, fine. 20-0, you just got on the scoreboard. That's all you did. Did you think it was a confidence boost for this offense? Maybe. I'm going to see what they say in the press conferences. That's going on in a minute. I'll get you some of those quotes and my reaction to that. But, man, like this defense looks horrendous. This defense gave up 217 rushing yards, the most they've given up since 2021. Just the team stats, I don't get to individual. The Jets were outgained 403 to 154 yards. And I will remind you, 54 of those came on the garbage time with Tyrod Taylor that last drive, where I guess the one highlight of this game is Jeremy Rucker got his first Jets touchdown. Ironically, it wasn't even his college quarterback that threw it to him. The Jets had 54 passing yards. 54. That was it. Bills had 224 yards on the ground. Jets 100. Jets on 3rd down, 0 for 11. Weirdly, 4th down, they were 3 of 3. Jets allowed 4 sacks today. Bills only allowed 1. Jets, the one thing the Jets, I guess, did decently was the penalties outside Michael Clemens, because the Jets miraculously had 5 penalties for 35, Bills 6 for 69, and fumbles lost. And again, this was the Bills 38 minutes to the Jets 21 and 39 for time of possession. We'll get to the individual stats in a minute, but man, I'm taking your questions. Super chat, jump to the front of the line. Make a donation if you can to the channel as we continue to grow. Like and subscribe so we can get more Jets fans in here. But this Jet defense, too, not only are they bad, but they don't even force turnovers. Another game without a turnover. Like, I'm going to go into the defense a bit more, especially when I talk to you, but let's just look at the passing stats. Justin Fields, 3 for 11, 27 yards. Added 49 on the ground. Breece Hall, 10 of 29. But again, when there's no threat of a passing attack, Bills loading the box. I didn't think the Jets line was bad. I thought they were okay. They weren't as dominant. And again, that was frustrating because I felt with all the injuries on this Bills line and how the Ravens moved them last week, I thought you were going to get something in the run game. But Justin Fields, like, this to me was the risk of Justin Fields. And I said after last week, I don't need him to be the quarterback he was last week. I need him to be 60 to 70% of that, but every game. I can't have him looking like a true franchise quarterback one week and then looking like someone that is completely lost, because the passing game today was horrendous. And it wasn't just the offensive line, like I know they gave us some sacks, but one sack in particular, the one that really concerned me was I know they were in a long, but Fields held the ball for like 6 or 7 seconds. At that point, like you throw it away or you run. Like you can't hold on to the ball that long. And I just look at how many passes they were thrown behind. Isaiah Davis has an easy check down right in front of him and throws it behind him where he has to spin and can't catch it. Garrett Wilson on the crosser throws it behind him. Mason Taylor overthrows him. Like the Jets starting quarterback had 3 completions today. 3 completions in 3 quarters of action. And the biggest play made was a great play with his legs. Okay, the Jets are moving the ball. Maybe they can get in field goal range. They kick it. It's a 14-point game at the end of the half. Incomplete. 3 straight incompletions. And look, for Justin Fields, like this is his last chance for this team. And it's funny because I was really impressed last week. And one of the big things I said was him looking down the field, scanning coverage, and the accuracy was really the big thing last week. Was able to put in some tight spots. This week, I don't know what happened to that accuracy. That accuracy was absolutely horrendous. I mean, the Jets last year, the fewest yards in a game was 207. They gained 154. Aaron Glenn, there's no stone that won't go unturned. So again, I do think that Aaron Glenn is going to make some changes. I don't know what changes, but I do think he's going to make. Aaron Glenn not giving specifics on things like the passing out, Fields played, or run defense. He's just going to watch the tape. So again, I'm going to get some more of these press conferences. But again, super chat, jump to the front of the line. If you have questions, thoughts on this game, make sure to put it in the comment section below. We'll get to your questions in a bit. Make sure to super chat. But again, this was just it was just bad. Like, and look, I understand that they're rebuilding this team. I understand that there's probably going to be more games like this than great games, especially with everything. But I mean, the big things we're going to have to watch now too is, will it be Tyrod Taylor versus the Buccaneers next week? And we'll have to see how the offense operates under him, because Fields has a concussion. We don't know how long it's going to be till he's back or if he's clear for next week. Other injuries that were big concerns. Jermaine left this game. You had Michael Carter at one point leave this game. Tony Adams leave this game. Adams, I don't think is much of a loss. The big one to me is Jermaine. Jermaine is the big one because Jermaine, I think, has played really well, and we'll hopefully get an update on that as soon as we can. But again, Justin Fields and concussion protocol. So there's a shot. Tyrod Taylor's playing next week. And Aaron Glenn, apparently I did not have the guys ready to play. It's not okay. Look, I will at least say this. They were outclassed by a superior team. They also shot themselves in the foot. But I do like Aaron Glenn trying to change this culture. And look, he's saying, like, he's not sugarcoating. Robert Sala would deflect, we'll be fine, we'll be fine. I think Aaron Glenn's like, this was an ass kicking, to be frank, in part of my language. But he's like, you know what? We got to make some big changes. And some of those changes could be the core here. Look, Michael Clemens is a part of this core. He has been here as long as some of the longest tenure Jets. And he, I think, is going to be cut. Like, I don't know when, but I think he deserves to be cut. And I'm also curious, too, to see, like, I'm just imagining this. This would be, like, can you just imagine the Jet headline? Because that, I'm just playing this already in my head, and let me know in the chat what you guys have to think. But I could just see Tyrod Taylor somehow going to Tampa, having an incredible game, and then we're all drinking the Tyrod Taylor Kool-Aid for a week, and that he should be the start of the rest of the season. Like, it's just amazing how we went from basically, we were talking so much about Justin Fields potentially looking like he could be a long-term option for this team, and now there's a chance Tyrod Taylor starting in Tampa. Again, super chat, jump to the front of the line. Your comments on the game, especially if you're driving back from MetLife, let me know what your thoughts are on this game. I definitely would love to hear what your thoughts were, especially if you were in the stadium. But again, super chats to jump to the front of the line, comments. Would love to hear what your thoughts are on this game, your opinion. Again, you guys have always some great questions, so make sure to get into the chat as well. But we went through some of the stats. Aaron Glenn has been talking at the podium, but man, like this is just like a nightmare game that we've seen so many times before. This is, the Jets were undisciplined. They were not prepared. Like this team is just absolutely like, it was just embarrassing. Like the one thing you wanted to say about this team was you want to have a bit of pride being a Jet fan. Because you hear it all the time about the Jets. You hate being the punching bag. You just want to be like, you know what? That was a respectable game. The Jets are a respectable team. And in some regards, you felt last week that was changing. But this is something that I do think will be a big turning point for this head coach and for this front office. Because let's just put it bluntly. I think a lot of Jet fans, especially after the way the last two seasons have gone, I've said this on the program, and if you're in this camp, you can tell me. If you're not, I would love to hear your thoughts on this take. I think a lot of Jet fans will still follow this team. They'll obviously care about this team, but I think a lot will check out until they start to see progress. I think last week was a good start. But until this fan base, which has felt to have been burned so many times over the last 15 years, especially by head coaches, by quarterbacks, that they want to see not only the Jets do it or show progress, but show consistency. That's been the biggest problem with the Jets is consistency. We've gotten very brief moments of success or joy. The problem is that follows by crashing disappointment because of the lack of consistency from this organization. And you look at this team. I think a lot of us came in this game realistic saying, I don't expect them to beat the Bills, but I want it to be a competitive game or be a game. And I know we're done with the moral victories and I'm not a big fan, but I at least was like, okay, the measuring stick in this division should be the Bills. They're the division favorites. They're a Super Bowl contender. Like, this is the measuring stick. And the stick basically today told you they're not close. And I understand a lot of it has to do with their talented quarterback. But it wasn't just that the Bills were the better team today. It was just the mistakes by this team it's just mind-blowing. And I think despite as bad as this team has been for years, this is the first time they're going to be 0-2 since 2021. Think about that. 2022, 23, 24, the Jets somehow managed a way to be 1-1 after week 2. And right now, when you're 0-2, it's going to be a tough hole to climb. And I think you're going to see a tough test down in Tampa. I do think the Jets can beat Miami in week 4. But this is definitely going to be a game where you look back and you say, like, we thought the run defense was better. They gave up 217 yards today. We thought Fields showed flashes, only completed 3 passes today. Like, it's hard. Like, I'm trying to think of the positives outside of McNamara, the punter. Like, there's not a lot of positives to take from this game. And I think the Jet fans feel like I do. Like, now it's time to prove things are changing. Yes, I've seen small changes in the culture. Yes, I've seen small changes, incremental changes with how the structure of this organization is. But now it's time to start seeing progress. We thought we saw progress with this offense. I was hoping to see progress with this defense. And Aaron Glenn, look, if it's the scheme, you got to make an adjustment. Because the thing that concerns me the most about Aaron Glenn right now is this. Aaron Glenn is a defensive coach. This is his side of the ball, and they have looked absolutely horrendous. Now, the offensive side could today been contributed to Justin Fields not having and not being able to complete a pass. Do you put all that on Tanner Engstrom? You can put a lot of the blame on Engstrom, but when I look at this defense, and one of the calling cards that was the selling point to Aaron Glenn, he was able to not only create a great defense in Detroit, but the thing that was the most impressive was how he was able to get guys up to speed in a short amount of time and how he was able to take guys off of the street and make them at least viable for Detroit's run while he was there with all the injuries they endured. The Jets, you look, they have talented players on this defense, but I'm looking around and going, the linebackers look horrendous. Quincy and Sherwood look horrendous. They look horrendous in coverage. The safety play looks awful. The corners outside of Sauce look terrible, and Sauce had a terrible game as well today. Like, you look around and you're going, like, I know this defense isn't elite, but man, like, you're like, why is this defense so bad? And like, it's supposed to be, and that was one of the big things I was excited about was you got Wilkes, who's had plenty of experience as a DC, been a former head coach. And now you have Aaron Glenn, who's been a very successful D coordinator. I'm like, okay, these are going to be two really good defensive minds. And I come out of the first two games, I understand Josh Allen is very difficult to stop. But when I look at them against Aaron Rodgers and I look at them against Josh Allen, and I'm looking at how they're blowing assignments, they're not getting in position. There looks to be miscommunication. Guys are out of position. It's just absolutely mind-blowing to me how this team looks this bad. Because let's be frank, the defense has been horrendous. The defense has been atrocious, and this is something we're not used to as Jet fans. Like, even at the worst time, the Jets defense usually at least is salvageable, at least can make plays. And it's like, I just can't believe how bad this team is, especially this defense. You know, like this team, like they were embarrassing today. They were absolutely embarrassing. It was the penalties that were embarrassing. It was the lack of energy coming out of the locker room that was embarrassing. And like, I'm grasping at straws. I really am. And is part of the rationale maybe, okay, the Bills are just one of the best teams in football. There's a clear talent gap between the two teams. Like, this should be at least, it's a loss, but you were hoping to be more competitive. But I just look and I'm like, what are the Jets? The one thing I looked at last week, they leaned on the run game. The offensive line played well, and they didn't get this week. They did not get this week. And I'm also saying this too. You look at the wide receivers, Allen Lazard, Josh Reynolds, man, like, especially Lazard. Lazard, one of the big plays in this game, he failed to get a chip block and Breece Hall got blown up. Like, the receivers we were talking about, like, we keep getting, like, where we're told, oh, they're good blockers, they're good blockers. I'll tell you today, the wide receivers on the Jets were terrible at blocking today. It was infuriating to watch this team. You know, in the grand scheme of things, I think many of us knew this was going to be a loss because of the talent gap. But when you look at how sloppy this team was, how we keep seeing the same old penalties from Clemens, we've seen it before. And I think what is the most infuriating thing for us as a fan base has been this. We know for a long time that these guys are not good players and that they were detriments to the New York Jets. You look at this right now and you go, we were saying for months, they shouldn't be on this team. And the fact that they made this team from camp was infuriating. And now you look at it, it's like you reap what you sow here, especially if you're Muji and Aaron Glenn, because we were telling you for months these guys are terrible at football. And it seems like everyone except them knew this, and now arguably these guys have cost them key games. And when you look, we'll have to see if Fields is out against Tampa. How's Tyrod play, and what does that mean going forward? And you can't survive on this defense where you gave key guys money and they don't perform. Now, Sauce had a bad game today, but he had a great game in the first one. The Jets are paying Michael Carter to be a premier slot corner, and he's been horrendous. They gave Sherwood a lot of money to be this team's middle linebacker. At the time, we both thought were good moves, but Sherwood has been horrendous to start the season. Michael Carter has been horrendous. And I brought it up last week, and I don't think this is something I can overlook, which is, could they move off of Michael Carter at the end of the season? Because ever since his injury last year, Michael Carter has not looked the same. He has not looked the same corner. And with Aaron Glenn, I know you've practiced what you preached in terms of accountability with Xavier Gibson last week. But you look at what you said. You said this team was going to be aggressive. This team was going to be feisty. This team was going to be aggressive. You had a 4th and 3. You're down by 20 in the second. You're down. Justin Fields is going to get the ball back at least for the half and also get the ball to start the half. And you're kicking a field goal. That to me was what really bothered me. Last week, going for it, especially last week, when you go for it, instead of kicking field goals last week, or you go for it instead of kicking extra points, okay, you're going to be aggressive. Now, all of a sudden, you're thinking, okay, well, people last week were, criticizing me for being too aggressive. Now I'm going to pull back. Be you. If you're going to be aggressive, be aggressive. Be consistent as a head coach. So, Jamie Sherwood, we'll be getting over that hump, and next thing you know, we'll be shutting teams out soon. Can we at least keep them out of the 30s first? Just keep them out of the 30s. That's what all I have to say about that. But man, I already see people looking forward to the draft. My big thing is I just don't want this team to be debating the quarterbacks before Columbus Day. But who knows the way we're going at this point? Who knows? But let's check in on the comment section. Again, comment section, jump to the front of the line, super chat. Your thoughts and questions. Would love to hear your thoughts on this game. Again, super chat on the front of the line. I want to hear what you have to say, but I'm going to see if there's any other big things coming up here, in terms of the press conference. Because again, I do think this was just a one-sided football game. It was just incredibly frustrating game to watch. I mean, I was watching multiple games at the same time. Okay, all these games are fun and competitive. And then I look at the Jets and it's oh boy. So Aaron Glenn, it's not okay to lose like that. You don't have to tell us as Jet fans. We know. But this is a thing too. The Jets, you want to make a point, go out there and have a great game next week. Because you look at this Jet team, the defense has been bad. The offense was bad today. Everything was bad. And the thing that really annoyed me, I think, the most in this game is I gave Darren Muji credit when he addressed the D tackle position, although that didn't seem to help too much today. If I'm Darren Muji and you want to show me something as the GM of this team, especially if Jermaine is going to be out for a short period of time. Again, we haven't gotten the update on his injury. Jadeveon Clowney is still a free agent, but I think he's going to wait for a playoff team. You already missed out Smith from the Lions. If I'm Darren Muji, do what you did with the defensive tackle position. Make calls. See if you can use a 6 or 7 round pick to take a shot on a Project DN. Maybe it's a former first-round pick that's a bust. Maybe it's someone that's deep on a depth chart that's not getting playing time, someone that's a good edge setter, someone that maybe is a better run defender, but at least then gives you more reps where Will McDonald can just come in as a pass rusher. Continue to try to build this team. I don't think they're going to sign Simmons. I know a lot of people are going to suggest Simmons the safety. I'd also call about safety. Is there some team that's looking to move off of a safety? Is there a guy that you have valued higher on your depth chart? Because I'm telling you, Tony Adams is cooked. I don't think Tony Adams should be on this team. And look, I will give them this. You can't have a complete roster turnover in the first year, but the players they decide to keep, I'm looking Malachi Morris getting playing time. I like Dean Clark in training camp. I would try to see what he can bring. And especially with Brandon Stevens. Brandon Stevens, to me, not only played horrible, but showed a severe lack of hustle on that touchdown run. I have a short lease on Brandon Stevens. I know you invest a lot of money in him, but you also invested a premium draft pick in A.Z. Thomas. If A.Z. Thomas is anywhere near ready, I'd give him a shot because Stevens is killing you. Could Stevens help better at safety position? Maybe. Could he? Like, that's the thing I'd ask. Could Stevens help me in the slot? Is he better in the slot? Is he better as a safety? Like, there's other options I can see with Stevens. Because right now, I'm watching Stevens play corner, and he's just getting abused. He's just getting abused out there. Like, he's not even close on some of these. He's not doing a good job. And the big thing to me was, not only has he been bad in coverage, but he's chasing after Cook and then just decides, okay, I'm going to pull up. That can't be accepted. That's unacceptable. Sauce Gardner asked about the defense. We let 3 points, so not good. Yeah, I was not good. Andre Cisco, Aaron and Glenn's message after the loss, they talked about taking a hard look in the mirror and understand this is not okay. I agree with that. From an offensive perspective, we kept our defense on the field too long, too many quick drives with the 3 and outs from Tyrod Taylor. And I think that's a factor in this game too, where it got away from the defense in the second half and they were just running the ball. And I think that's part of the reason the running stats got a little bit padded. But that defense was gassed. I mean, that defense, like, the Jets only held the ball for 21 minutes. And I'm trying to remember, like, they had a quick 3 and out. I have to double check. I'm almost certain they only had 1 possession in the third quarter, and I believe it was a minute and a half. But the most, it was 2 possessions. They did not hold the ball. Like, this defense, to be good, they need to win the time possession, which they really did not do. They had 17 passing yards until the fourth quarter today. And it's just, it's frustrating. It's just frustrating. So, but we'll get to your comments in a bit. Abby Fresh coming into the context. Great Christine picture, by the way, Abby, especially getting to the horror season. Always appreciate that. AG is our coach. We replaced Reed with Stevens. Are you talking we replaced or okay? Our offense was non-existent. I miss solid defense. I want to go back to the 3-4. Now, Salah's defense in a way was better against Allen because they played a lot of zone looks, which again kept their defensive eyes in front of them. The 3-4 I've also thought about, Abby. The problem with that is a 3-4, you need to rely on your linebackers. And right now the Jets linebackers are not playing well. Like, that was a thing I was thinking of, like having at the defensive stand-up line-back position. Could Jermaine stand up? Could Will stand up? But I just don't think they really love their linebacking core. I mean, I think a telltale sign was McCrary Ball was getting a lot of reps in the third and fourth quarter. I don't know if you picked that up. I'm going to be curious once the snap counts come out about him. But he was getting a lot of run, especially later in this game. Maybe Sherwood was tired, but I just looked at that and I go, okay, they were just getting the ball absolutely run on them. So, I mean, good news for the Mets. They actually won a game today, so at least there's some good things out there today. But look, one of the few things I did notice, though, in this game was you did get Malachi Moore in there over Tony Adams. And this is my other thought, too, with this team. And I said at the beginning of the show, if you're just joining us, here's my thought on this team. Again, super chat on the front of the line. Comments, I will answer your questions as soon as they come up. My thought is this team's also going to be bad, which is trending that way. I'm of the mindset I would rather have the kids play. I understand A.Z. Thomas might not be ready. I understand Malachi Moore might not be ready. I understand Tyler Barron might not be ready. But I'd rather see them at least take their lumps and at least show me something. Because Brandon Stevens, I thought, was a bad corner in Baltimore. And through 2 games, I still think he's a bad corner. Could he maybe be a safety in the scheme? Potentially. Could he be better in the slot? Maybe. I thought Andre Cisco had a nice game today. I was impressed. I mean, he's one of the few bright spots on the defense today. I want to see more from Malachi Moore, and I want to see A.Z. Thomas because, like, Brandon Stevens, like, he cannot stop anyone. Like, at least give me an opportunity, or at least give me someone that I feel can at least earn something. And look, if AZ has a blown coverage here or there and it's growing pains, fine. But if I see him making a play on the ball, at least being close or getting a pass break up here, like, give me a shot there. I mean, you spent, let's face it, a top 75 pick on this kid. And I understand you wanted to view him more as a project. Well, sometimes in the NFL, projects get rushed, and this is a great opportunity because Brandon Stevens looks lost. And it's not just that. Like, if Brandon Stevens was the problem, that'd be one thing. But when you had a bad game for the whole corner room in the first two games, Michael Carter has basically, and again, I used this term last two, I think the best, Brandon Stevens has been a great deodorant for how bad Michael Carter has played. And here's the thing. Brandon Stevens is getting paid to be a starting corner, and he doesn't look like a starting corner. Michael Carter is being played to not only be a slot, but be one of the premier slot corners in this league. And he is clearly not at that level right now. Could he get there throughout the season? Maybe. But the problem is when you pay a guy in the NFL, he better play up to his bottom line. I think Sauce play like that in week one. He didn't play like that today. I look at those two guys and I'm like, this corner room has gotten some significant upgrades, or what we thought. And they haven't played well. And the other thing that annoys me too is the Jets had options at defense all throughout August. I was screaming, get Jadeveon Clowney before the season starts. Because once the season starts, he's going to wait for the best team or a stupid contract. And I don't think the Jets want to give him a stupid contract, like a stupid one-year deal. But you had Smith out there from the Lions, who I thought would be a nice fit in this defense. I was hoping at the end of the cuts they'd go out and be aggressive. When they trade for the D tackles, I'm like, okay, maybe get an edge or something. And they haven't. And now we got to see what Jermaine's injury is. Because if your excuse is that the reason Michael Clemens is on this football team is he is your third best D end, well, then you screwed up. And part of it goes back to the draft. I've had a lot of opinions on this draft, but let me get to your questions and then I'll get to my draft thoughts here. I'm starting to think AZ wasn't a good pick either. Then we used a second-round pick on a non-existent tight end. Well, if Justin Fields could put the pass in the same zip code, Abby, maybe their tight ends could make a play. He was not good with the accuracy today. Again, we'll check to see the latest updates on the Jets as well. But again, subscribe, hit that like button. If you're joining us in the live stream, comment below, super chat, jump to the front of the line. Also, this is a great time to vent your grievances. If you're driving home from the game, we'd love to hear about the atmosphere in the stadium at MetLife. But here's my thought on the draft. I still think Muji had a decent draft. I still want to see Mason Taylor more involved, but the offense has got to be on the field for more than 21 minutes. Here's the thing that irked me on day 3 of the draft. And I've said this a lot here, and this is why I think this was a bit of a problem. I'm of the opinion that unless there is a guy that you really love, like in the 4th round or early 5th, that you either have a very high day 3 grade on or you have a day 2 grade on, and you really like that player, go up and get him. But if you don't love a player at the top that you're saying, oh, we will have loved this guy on day 2, let's go up and get him. If that guy doesn't exist on day 3, sorry, I keep hitting the mic. I'm just so energetic right now and so furious. If that guy does not exist on day 3, I'm of the opinion you either take at your spot or you try to trade down and get more capital. Because on day 3, you're competing between guys that are on the fringe of the roster. You're trying to find role players. And my thought process on that is you want as many dart throws as you possibly can. The Jets made 2 trades ups in that draft. They traded up to get Malachi Moore. Now, again, it seems like they had a legitimate plan for Malachi Moore, and they feel like he at one point was going to be a starter or a significant safety, and we're already seeing it today. He's getting reps at the safety position. That is okay if you have a plan or you legitimately feel like you have a role for a guy on your team. Like, I get that. The ones that irked me were the 2 Miami players. Because I'm like, if they don't make this roster, they were wasted picks. Because I felt like you could have gone either in the undrafted market, but especially Tyler Barron. The Jets not only drafted Tyler Barron, but they traded up for him. which signaled to me and to other Jet fans, they believe that this is going to be a key rotational piece in their defensive end room. What's happened? He just made this roster, and a lot of people felt that the only reason he kind of did was because he was a draft pick. And he's been inactive for 2 games. I'm at the point now, like, I at least want to see him just so I can get an idea of what he can bring to the table. But to me, the biggest problem with that pick wasn't the player, but you used a pick that could have been another dart throw. So let's say this, for example. Could the Jets have used that dart throw on maybe another safety that could be completing? Could they have used it on another wide receiver that could have been pushing on this depth chart? Could they have used it on, I don't know, a quarterback? Someone like Cam Miller, who I like down at North Dakota State, some project quarterback that if we're sitting here could be like, okay, if the Fields experiment goes incredibly horrifically wrong, at least we have a guy that maybe we have something with. Maybe he plays down the stretch and we feel like, okay, maybe he's like a Tommy DeVito where, yeah, he's probably not a starter, but we feel he's a good spot star. We have a legitimate backup quarterback. But instead, they trade up for a player, and I said to myself, he better be a part of this team. And so far, it has not shown that return for the first few games. And let's be honest. If you're the Jets, you're not going to win many games if Justin Fields is 3 of 11. Justin Fields has to show, and he doesn't have to be a great volume passer. He doesn't have to be a 70% completion guy. But he needs to show that he can hit the deep ball, that he can at least be a threat with his arm, that you can pull the safeties a bit out of the box. Like the Garrett Wilson play against the Steelers, that pulls the safeties out of the box because it's showing you can beat them over the top. When he comes out there and he's missing behind, over, everywhere, the Bills are saying, okay, he can't hit the layup. It would be like in the NBA. If a player couldn't hit a layup, if the player can't hit the layups, you're not going to feel like they're going to beat you from 3 points. Because if they can't hit the high percentage shots, why are they going to hit the low percentage shots? So that to me is going to be a key asset to this game. And look, if Fields is not going to do it with his arm in a game, he's got to do it more with his legs. He made the nice run to extend the drive at the end of the first half to get them in a position to maybe get a field goal, but then incompletion. And it kind of almost feels like Justin Fields, like if he's on a game like game 1 and he's feeling confident throwing the football, then I would say stick to throwing the football. But if it gets to a point like today where even the layups where you're trying to build the confidence and trying to just get in a rhythm aren't working, it almost feels like, okay, if you see daylight or feel like you can get 5 or 6 yards on the ground, take it. Take it until you can maybe get a broken play and get a big play or build up some confidence with some completions. But like today, it was hard. It was a very difficult watch. No matter how you slice that game, that was incredibly difficult to watch. Again, Super Chat, jump to the front of the line. Your thoughts on the game. Would love to hear what you guys think about today's performance. And can the Jets do one thing? Stop saying they had a good week of practice. I hate that phrase. Like I keep hearing, I heard it from Sauce. We had a good week of practice. I don't care if you had the best week of practice. If you didn't show up for the game, I do not care about practice. Look at me. If you're like Allen Iverson, practice, talk about practice. Not the game. Not the game, but practice. So it was a frustrating game for this Jet team because they just could not do anything well today. Like, I'm serious. Like, I was hoping to say, well, the offensive line punched the Bills in the mouth, and they're not a great defensive line. That didn't happen today. Well, Justin Fields made enough plays or showed that he at least was building off last week's performance. That didn't happen. Okay, this defense is going to improve their communication. That didn't happen. The linebackers will cover better. That didn't happen. The corners will cover better. That didn't happen. Well, Sauce will still be great. That didn't happen. It's like everything came up, just negative. Jacob Cooper, what a trashy performance by the same old Jets. It was bad. It was bad. And I'm trying to find, the positives here. And there's not a lot. That's the thing that is incredibly frustrating with this team. Again, comment section's open. If you want to get your thoughts in here, would love to hear what you have to say. Your thoughts on the game. Jacob just in here. Super chat to make a donation. Jump to the front of the line. Sorry about that, Abby. I appreciate it. I guess the mic didn't want to come back on right there. But I think the biggest concern, and again, sorry about the last lack of audio. Can you guys hear me now? How about now? How about now? Okay, Danger Zone's in here. Good to hear from you, Danger Zone. Comment to jump to the front of the line. Hopefully it's not just the – but, yeah, so again, if you were joining us on the podcast, more what some of the dead air was, again, I took a quick refreshment just to clear my throat a little bit, hit the mute mic, but unfortunately, I won't do that again. But yeah, Jacob getting the Vietnam Luke Falk flashbacks. That's a good one. But the biggest concern to me is with Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn's supposed to be a defensive coach. We hired him to be a defensive coach, and the defense has been horrendous. And one of the big things is, especially with the way NFL is, and especially if you're a team that doesn't have that, quote, franchise quarterback, I tend to go for an offensive guy, and I was kind of hoping the Jets would this cycle. But with Aaron Glenn, it was, well, he's a great defensive coordinator. Well, he'll at least have this defense. And I'm thinking, okay, they have experience with Steve Wilkes. They have Aaron Glenn. This defense should improve. And the one position I thought confident about was the corner room. I'm like, you're getting a former corner as a head coach. And I'm looking, Michael Carter looks lost. Brandon Stevens looks horrendous. It's just maddening how bad this defense, especially the back end of this defense has looked. It's looked atrocious. And it's gotten to the point I'm like, I don't care. Play Easy Thomas. At least give me some hope, or at least give me some glimpse of the future. At least give me someone that might be able to make a play. Because Brandon Stevens looks just completely lost out there. And this wasn't just a beating. This was a bullying. The Jets had 154 yards. They only had 100 going in the final drive where they got 54 in garbage time. Like, you look, this was attempted pass per attempt. Justin Fields was 0.68. The best of 46 starts today was negative 0.58, which was the worst. So in the span of 2 weeks with Justin Fields, we have gotten the best start of his career and we've gotten the worst start of his career. Can we just get the middle, please? Can we just get the middle Justin Fields? That's all I ask. That's all I ask. I think, Abby, that's a great question. I think there's a lot of tools with Steve. Again, Stevens is close on the coverage. It's not his range, it's not his speed, but it's the mechanics. And I think this staff thought that they could fix the mechanics, but it's clear they haven't. And I know some people will say, well, why don't they just sign DJ Reed? DJ Reed is not coming back here. DJ Reed was fed up. DJ Reed wanted a fresh start. DJ Reed wanted to get out of here. Like, there was no way DJ Reed was coming back, especially with how the way the last season ended. I did not see a world where he was coming back. But I also look, too, it's like Stevens also got a massive contract that we all were going, that seems a bit rich for him. And we were all like, okay, like, can he get a fresh start here? Could this be like our version of DJ Reed? Where, again, when Jets signed DJ Reed, we were optimistic of what we were getting, and we got a great number 2 corner for years. And always appreciate what DJ Reed brought to the table. He's probably the best free agent signing under Joe Douglas, but I don't know what they saw in him either. I really don't. I think they took a dice roll on him, and unfortunately it's come back to bite him. And it's weird, too, because you bring up a good point, Abby. And I said this at the time of the draft, which is if they like AZ this much, it kind of tells me they don't necessarily love Brandon Stevens. If that's the case, why did they give him so much money? It was just very confusing at the time, and it still is. And look, Fields, 3 of 11, 73 yards. Tyrod Taylor on garbage time, 7-11 for 56. Touchdown to Jeremy Ruckert. Ruckert gets his first career touchdown with the New York Jets. Other than that, not a lot to say. Jets leaders in the rushing department. Justin Fields led on the ground with 49 yards. Breece Hall, 10 carries, 29. But again, the Jets are barely on the field. Garrett Wilson led the receivers, 4 catches, 50 yards, 12.5 per catch. Next up was Breece Hall, 2 catches for 9 yards, 4.5. Jets leading tackler, Jamie Sherwood was 7. Jawan Briggs. So I thought Jawan Briggs was one of the few bright spots in this game. Had a nice sack at Justin Fields. He was the only sack today. Francisco Mwaga surprisingly even got on the field today. So it looks like all the Jets draft picks are at least getting on the field. Isaiah Williams, who was elevated to the squad, got 2 kick returns. Isaiah Davis did the primary with 5. Nick Folk, 1 of 1. McNamara had 3 punts inside the 20, averaged 48.6 per punt. I guess that's the lone bright spot for this team. And it was one of the few times the Jets didn't have the most penalties for the game. So I guess that's a silver lining. Yay. It's just frustrating, too, because the big thing we were hoping for with Aaron Glenn, which is the concerning thing to me, is we were hoping for a disciplined team, not a talented team, but a team that was disciplined, a team that wouldn't do stupid things, a team that would be tough, a team that would be gritty, and you didn't see that today. Like, I don't mind if this team loses, but if they're fighting and clawing and scratching and showing grit, like, I just don't understand how this team came out so flat today. Like, this seemed like a great opportunity, and I wasn't expecting them to win, but I was at least expecting, okay, they'll punch out at the Bills. You'll get a fight against the Bills, and we'll look at this and go, okay, this at least will be a somewhat competitive game. And it was like, no, it wasn't. This was like the announcer described. This Alabama versus like the Citadel. It was just bad. It was just really bad. Again, Super Chat to jump to the front of the lines. Your comments and questions. Would love to hear your thoughts on the game. I know Danger Zone's in here now. Don't know if he has any questions or thoughts on this game. Abby Fresh with a lot of questions as well. Again, Super Chat, jump to the front of the line. Like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our latest content. If you're joining us late in the game and you want to listen to the full show in your pocket, you can always check us out wherever podcasts are available. We're going to have a lot of different content this week. I know tomorrow we're going to do a Giants recap with Pick Wicks on this channel, do our weekly preview on Friday, and hopefully get some more Jets content creators here throughout the week and their great views. We're having a great show on Friday until the internet for my interviewee went out, which always makes it a little bit interesting. So that was a lot of fun. But again, comments, super chat, jump to the front of the line. And look, I think with this Jet fan, and tell me your thoughts on this. We just want consistency. We want to see a team that plays at least hard every week, that's competitive every week. And I think it has to start in Tampa. Like, they need to go to Tampa and make a competitive game. Like, they have to be in that game. And especially if they go to Miami and they can't beat Miami, it's going to be a long season. And we're going to be here talking about the quarterbacks, and like we always do, and I'll always talk about them, and I will definitely break that down throughout the season. But the big thing is, too, with Aaron Glenn is I want to see some more energy, and I want to see, like, actual change. And I think in the micro, I'm seeing changes in this organization and accountability. But we need to start seeing some of those macro changes. Like, we need to see this team competing. We need to see this team in a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. We need to see this team playing against a team that's clearly out of their weight class, but at least is competitive with that team. Tampa Bay is a team that I don't think is in the same weight class as the Bills, but they're a good football team. They have a good quarterback. They have a good offense. This is a game where they have to patch this defense up. And I don't know if it's a scheme change. I don't know if it's benching. I don't know if it's shuffling this defense around. But Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes have got a lot of work to do. I think Tanner Engstrom does too. But I'm curious to see what happens. The biggest thing for me, too, is seeing what happens with this lineup. Because if, and this easily can happen, if Tyrod Taylor goes out and plays a great game against the Buccaneers next weekend, do you ride the hot hand and wait until Justin Fields is ready? Because Justin Fields, of course, was diagnosed with a concussion. We don't know with the concussion protocol. There's a good chance that he will not play next week. But again, we have to wait and see how he clears with the protocol. We'll also wait and see some key injury updates, and we'll break down the injuries throughout this week. Obviously, Jermaine leaving with an ankle isn't good. Hopefully they can figure that out. I mean, I guess the silver lining, at least the Jets special team wasn't horrendous today, but it was. I also want to see a couple of things too next week. I know we've talked about benching. I know there's certain players I don't think you can bench with their depth, but I would do this. Brandon Stevens, that effort on that touchdown was inexcusable. Now, Aaron Glenn in the moment probably didn't see that, but when you watch the film back, I'd be like, okay, we're an 0-2 team. We're not going to be great this year. We're trying to build something. I'd sit Stevens the first quarter of the Buccaneers game. I would. I let AZ start. I let Quantez Stigger start. I say, you know what? You need to be – we gave you a massive contract. You're not just someone that's on the verge of this team that we can move around. Like, we paid you to make an impact on this team. We paid you more than what many people thought we should have paid you. And that's what you're giving us in return? If that's the effort you're going to give, I'd say, all right, then you don't get to start the game. Let's see if it lights a fire under him. That's what I would do if I'm Aaron Glenn. And also, you cut Michael Clemens. I know this room is thin at defensive end, and I understand that this is a thin position, but I would make another example. And it's frustrating, too, because on this channel, we have talked ad nauseum about Gibson and Clemens all through last year, through Saleh, through Ulbrich, every week. How are they on this team? How are they on this team? Why haven't they been cut? Then they stay through past the regime. Then they make it through camp. And we're like, how are they making it through? Let's see. Josh Allen doesn't score any points. The Bills still 30. That's actually a good point. I didn't realize that. I thought Josh Allen might have had a rushing touchdown, but that actually would be an interesting stat. This is the first. When was the last time the Bills won a game where Josh Allen didn't score a touchdown? James Cook had 2. Elijah Moore had 1. I'm trying to think what the other one was. Oh, no, that was it. So But that's a good call right there. Really good catch there by Lockport, dude. Good job. I really like that one. I'm not either. For the first couple games, Abby, you're right. I'm not impressed. He has not been good. It's been terrible. I've been disappointed with the head coach. I thought this defense would be at least decent. It's not like this defense is devoid of talent. Like, that's the other thing. Like, they have talented players on this team. Like, they should not be this bad. They should not be this inept. And I'm looking through some of the film today. Like, one of the sacks too. Like, I know the line gave some sacks today. I know Bosa was working on Membu. Membu still, I thought, had a good enough game. But I mean, it's also clear too that this offense can function. I mean, I understand it was guards. Tyrod Taylor came in, was moving down the field, completing passes, and the big thing too is, especially this offensive line can protect. Like, I think they can. Could they give him enough time and give him a couple games? The other thing I look at too is, it's like with this offense, it's something that needs to be buckled up. It's something that I want to see them go back to the tape. One of the big plays in this game was the Arian Smith sweep. If you watch the tape, Mason Taylor doesn't pick up the block on the edge, which led for the 10-year loss. But I did like them incorporating Arian Smith. Arian Smith almost had a really nice catch along the sideline. It seems like they're opening the playbook a little bit for him. But, the defense is bad, but the quarterback – you cannot win in this league if the quarterback is not going to complete more than 3 passes. You can't. And the big thing too, I looked at some of the plays. The big one I was really looking at for Fields today, trying to remember the exact play. I'm trying to actually pull it up right now. It was the 2nd and 15 in the second quarter. Again, still a 13-0 game. Fields drops back. Holding, held the ball for about 6 or 7 seconds. One of the things that he needs to work on is that internal clock. Now, the Bills did a good job of keeping contained, but if he doesn't see anything, he's going to try to take off and make a play, or at the very least throw the ball away. Because 2nd and 15 is bad. 3rd and 15 would be horrendous. But he takes the sack, and it becomes basically a 3rd and 24. And at that point, okay, we're punting, but we've also lost field possession, so the punt's not also going to be great either. So I guess also the Jets' strategy of trying to blend in with the field with the all-green jerseys didn't work too great either. Or maybe that's why Fields had trouble completing the passes today. Maybe he was having trouble picking out his receivers against the green stadium or the green backdrop. Maybe that was part of the problem today. Who knows? Maybe he wasn't wearing gloves today. I speculated that with many other Jets content creators, was the 2 gloves. Maybe he needs the 2 gloves again. So we'll see if he goes back to that. But I think the big thing too is, like, it's not just how that they were outclassed with talent, and of course, I mentioned Jadeveon Clowney. Breaking news: the Cowboys are signing Jadeveon Clowney per Jerry Jones. So there goes that dream. So I guess Jerry's happy because they get a win, and now they get improved the D tackle and they improve the D end. So, but yeah, that was definitely crazy, to say the least. But also another thing today too, Patriots beat the Dolphins. Dolphins at least showed some life, but again, they're having a players only meeting after week 2, which is not a great one. Not a great look. So, but again, comment below. Would love to answer your questions. Yeah, I think this is pretty much Lockport, dude. There's nothing else I can say. I mean, think about it. If I say Michael Clemens, what pops in your mind? Is it a sack? No. Is it a defensive play? No. The things that come to your mind is either a really dumb penalty or him pointing to the fans in Cleveland. It's like, Michael Clemens, like, what have you done in the league? And like, he's not just like a young player. This isn't like a 1st or 2nd year player. Like, Michael Clemens has been here a while. He's one of the longest tenured Jets, and he's still somehow here. Like, I don't understand how he is still here after all of this. But I mean, it also felt appropriate too that, of course, Elijah Moore would get a touchdown in today's game. Watch it. Elijah Moore is not going to have another touchdown of the season. That's a bold prediction from me. Here's the thing. It is still young in the season. It's still only week 2. This is still a rebuild. This is still year 1 of a rebuild. If the Jets are looking better in November and December heading into next season, I'll feel better. But at the same time, I need to see some improvements. I need to see some improvements from this team. Offensively with the play calling, with the quarterback play, but this defense too. This was an absolutely horrendous game for this defense. And I understand you're going against a likely MVP candidate. I understand you're going against a team that likely will be going to the Super Bowl potentially, or at least the AFC Championship game. But that was just horrendous. And the thing, too, is it's the guys you're paying. Quinnen, I thought, had a good game, but Sauce had a bad game. You're paying him. You paid Brandon Stevens. He had a bad game. You paid Michael Carter. He had a bad game. It's just so frustrating how bad they are. And look, I understand the players are taking accountability, but you have to show something next week in Tampa. Because your offense has showed at least something in week 1. You've at least shown some flashes there. This defense, they haven't forced a turnover. They haven't created a turnover. They've had 5 sacks through the first 2 games, which isn't horrendous, but it's not great either. This linebacking core has been abused. This cornerback room has been abused. I need to see something different. I think the biggest thing that really bothered me today and why I thought the Jets had a shot in this game was how bad the Bills' run defense was last week. I was looking to say, and I understand they don't have Lamar Jackson. I understand they don't have Derrick Henry, but I was looking at this and going, this is a bad run defense. And they lost one of their best defensive tackles. Even when the Jets are down, okay, attack it. But the problem then became, as good as the Jets' offensive line is, there was no threat from Fields. When they saw Fields throwing it all over the place with no touch, they basically dared him go over the top, and they wouldn't. And it was clear, too, that the Jets didn't want him throwing the football. And here's my thought to the Jets. You need to see what you have in Justin Fields this year. You have to have him play quarterback at times. Even at times you're uncomfortable. And if he fails, you get your answer if he can be a long-term answer to this franchise. But if you are purposely scared to throw the football, you're not going to win games in this league. If you are scared, because that's what it felt like to me. It felt like the Jets were afraid to let Justin Fields throw the football today. It felt like they were terrified to let him throw the football. They cowered at the thought of him throwing the football. And it's funny because, yes, it was garbage time, but Tyrod comes in and it's throw. Justin Fields is okay, run, maybe a pass play here. And I know part of the thing is the Jets, when they come into a game, want to establish the run. Now, I almost feel like now you got to establish the pass first and show okay, we can actually move the football a bit through the air. Whether it's a screen pass, whether you take a shot over the top early, you have to show a defense that you can at least beat you with an arm. And today it felt like Fields was scared. Fields wasn't comfortable throwing the football. I mean, think about it. The Jets quarterback attempted 11 passes in 3 quarters. He completed 3. He played as many quarters as passes completed. You can't win in the NFL like that. I don't need Justin Fields to complete 30 passes a game. But can you give me 15? Can you give me 14? Can you give me 13? Can he at least take a shot down the field? That is what we need to see from him. And if he can't do that, well, the Jets are in trouble. It's going to be a long season. And I'm curious to see how this offense will look if Tyrod Taylor is under center. If he's under center in Tampa, and he's spinning it, and this offense is moving, and the receivers are more involved, and you have an actual passing game, then to me, you have to ride that for as long as you possibly can. And if Fields has to sit on the bench for a bit, he sits on the bench for a bit. But it's one of those things, too, where I don't need Justin Fields to be week 1 Justin Fields. He just cannot be week 2 Justin Fields. He needs to be in the middle. He just needs to be average. He just needs to be consistent. I don't need him throwing for 200 yards a week. Can he give me 150 and be consistent? Can he hit a big play over the top once a week? Can he move the football to pull the safeties out of the box so Breece Hall can take a big run? The other thing that I was surprised was, and I'll get to Alex Kalen. Don't worry, everyone. We can skip the game, watch the paint, try and spare mental health. But, Alex, you can also watch Rich Sports Talk afterward for your mental health as well. Again, a lot cheaper and a lot more fun, I guess, and more entertaining than the Jets right now. So, Alex, of course, longtime listener, thanks for checking in. But the big thing I look for, too, is with Justin Fields, I need to see some consistency. I don't need you to be I need you to be a home run hitter. I need you to pull the safeties out of the box. And one thing that did surprise me in this game, because I did talk about with NY Jet Report, was a thought I had from last week. And again, maybe the Jets have a different view on this than I do, but here's my thought. I was watching the Sunday night game with the Bills, and it's clear they had a lot of trouble with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was a huge physical back. And one of the things I brought up for the game plan was, could it be a reversal this week? Could it be that you start the game hammering Braylon Allen inside, wearing down this defensive front, and then you hit Breece Hall when this defense gets on their heels? Now, again, the Jets are limited with the amount of plays they had, but you look, 10 carries for Breece, only 2 carries for Braylon Allen. But Allen, 5.5 yards per carry. Part of what I think a good coaching staff does is they take bits and pieces from other successes of other teams and they implement it into the game plan. And I'm watching Derrick Henry running over defensive players. Now, again, Braylon Allen is not in the same stratosphere as Derrick Henry. I get it. I understand that. But when I see a player that's similar, a physical bruising back that goes up the middle and pounds these defensive tackles, and when you see that their starting D tackles are out of this game, my thought is, let's pound Braylon Allen up the middle. Let's pound him up the middle. And if you pound him in the middle, it opens up the edges where maybe you do a bootleg outside with Justin Fields. You have Allen hit the middle, but then you roll Fields around the outside. You could also do like a fake pitch and do like a pony package where you have Allen go up the middle, fake it to Allen, but then pitch it out to Breece who hits the outside. Like, to me, like, there's innovation that you could have done, and there's plays that I would have liked to see in this game. And I saw last week Derrick Henry run roughshod over this defense, and I'm like, the Jets have a running back of a similar build. Why don't they utilize that against a team that you know has issues with a physical running back, and they didn't do it? So it has been a long Sunday, Jets fans. It has been a long day, and I understand it isn't a frustrating day. It's been a difficult loss. Although I am a little curious, though. So Jermaine Johnson with a very cryptic tweet with the 3 prayer hands. So I'm hoping that means he's good. He's thankful that he's good with an injury. I hope he's not praying that, he gets a clear report. So I'm curious, and that's something we'll definitely keep an eye on with Jermaine. But Garrett Wilson, oh man, all week you feel like you have a good plan. We had a good week of practice. Stop with the freaking practice, guys. I think you go out there and lay an egg when it matters. We got to figure out, I don't know how that happened. Props to them, I guess. So again, stop mentioning freaking practice. It is curious, though. I really hope Jermaine's healthy. I really do. But I will also say this with Jermaine. If Jermaine gets hurt, I do think we will have to have a conversation at some point about Jermaine Johnson's long term. I talked about it with AVT a little bit, which was, is there a chance they bring him back on a 1-year deal? Potentially, but you felt bad because if AVT went out and was healthy and played a great year, you felt like he was going to get a big contract. You thought he was going to get from the Jets. If Jermaine gets hurt again, it's another significant injury. It's going to be back-to-back years with significant injuries, and you kind of are curious when you look at the Jets. You have a great pass rusher in Will McDonald who you're going to have to pay, and you look at the pass rusher market, how much that's going up, and you wonder if you look at Jermaine, and is it a tag and trade? Do you just let him go? Like, that is something I don't look forward to talk about. I don't think it was bad, S. I do think it got a little bit overwhelmed today. Again, this is still a very young offensive line, but it doesn't help an offensive line when a team can blitz the house because they understand that the quarterback can't complete passes. They can't move the football at all. Like, they can't. And it was just look, it's a frustrating watch. It was a frustrating game. You just hope to see something next week. You just hope to see something from this team next week. You have to see something from this coaching staff. You have to see something that could potentially turn around. But again, we will be monitoring the Jets throughout this week. Potential injuries that we'll be monitoring throughout the week. And then, of course, this Friday, we will be previewing Jets-Buccaneers and what should be an interesting showdown. It might be even more interesting if Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback for the Jets because, again, Justin Fields is in the concussion protocol. We will see how long that he is out. But this was a humbling loss for the Jets. You hope that they learn from this, but we will be keeping an eye on this Jet team. And the big thing is you hope that this is a wake-up call. I think last week the staff felt good. They liked some of the things they were doing, but today was a wake-up call. Yes, changing the culture is great. Yes, it's going to be a major overhaul with this team. But we have to see results on the field. I think we're seeing some nice things. We're seeing some little snippets, but you have to see it on the field. You have to see a team that's ready to play. You have to see a team with a game plan. You have to see a team that is competitive for 4 quarters. Because this wasn't a competitive game. This was basically a dog walking by the Buffalo Bills to the New York Jets. They put up a 40-burger last year in Buffalo. It's frustrating if you're a Jet fan seeing where this team is today. But you have to see improvement. And you have to see this team come out with a fire next week and a game plan and accountability. Things I would do this week heading into Tampa Bay as my final thoughts. Again, final comments and questions can get into the chat now. But here are my final thoughts, things I want to see. First, I want to see Michael Clemens off this team. He does not deserve to be on this football team. Number 2, accountability. I want to see Brandon Stevens sit the first quarter or at least get disciplined for his lack of effort in this game, which on that touchdown run by Cook was abysmal. Number 3, if Justin Fields is the quarterback next week, I want to see him be more efficient in the passing game, and I want to see this offense come out throwing. Because until you can show a team that Justin Fields can make enough plays with his arm, they're not going to respect you and your running game. Number 4, if he isn't your quarterback, can you protect Tyrod Taylor? Can you protect him enough that he can make enough plays? And will this open up the playbook in the passing game? Because today, it felt like this passing game was hamstrung by Justin Fields because he couldn't get in a rhythm, because he couldn't hit the layups. And I think that scared Engstrom, where he's like, if my quarterback cannot hit the layups, cannot hit Isaiah Davis 5 yards in front of him, which is a pitch and catch, or he cannot lead Breece Hall to get a first down, I can't dial up something or trust him to make a player push the ball down the field. And if Tyrod Taylor plays great next week and this offense looks different, guess what? You ride it out. You ride out Tyrod Taylor until the wheels fall off. and this defense, show me anything next week. Show me something. This defense has been abysmal, and that's not a word I've used to describe the Jet defense. They've been horrendous. The linebackers have been terrible. The corners have been terrible. The safeties have been terrible. I'll also say this. If the guys on this team are not getting it done, give me the young kids. Give me the young kids, because at least I want to see them take their lump and see if they have anything to offer in the beginning. If Brandon Stevens keeps getting torched, I don't care. Put AC Thomas in. I saw it today with Tony Adams. Was not getting the job done. You bring him Malachi Moore. I'd like to see Tyler Barron suit up at defensive end over McDonald. And I also would like to see this. Darren Muji, I've given you a lot of credit. I gave you credit when you saw that this team was missing at defensive tackle, and you addressed that. I want you to do it again. I want you to go on the defensive end market. Go to a team that has an abundance of depth at defensive end. Maybe take a shot at a former high pick that's not working out, or even just find someone that's a run-based defensive end that maybe a team is willing to move off of. If you can trade a 6th or 7th round pick, just so you have a little bit of depth or someone that can set the edge, I would look to do that. I would look to do that because, again, you have to try to upgrade this defense because it is a problem. And I understand it's difficult during the season, but you've shown the ability, whether it's the waiver wire, whether it was through trades, that you were aggressive. You need to do it now for this defensive end position. So those are my final thoughts on the Jets. Again, some great comments coming in from Earthwander. This defense, it's the same case with Stevens. I have to rewatch the tape with Cisco in terms of the contract, in terms of the effort. I definitely didn't see it with Stevens. And I also don't think Stevens too. Can Stevens play safety? Could you move him to the slot? Is there another position on this field? I would look into that. And again, the linebackers play better. Jamie Sherwood got paid a lot of money too. I think part of it gets overlooked because he's a homegrown guy and we really like Jamie Sherwood, but he's had a rough first 2 games and he's got to pick it up. I mean, it's one thing when you're under the radar and you're, one of the linebackers, but when you've been basically made the guy with their contract, you have to perform, and he hasn't done that. So again, a lot to dissect in this episode, almost an hour and a half in. Listen to us on wherever podcasts are streaming. We will be back later this week with more great Jets content. Again, if you're joining us after the live stream, you have questions for the next episode, you can always comment. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that like button so you don't miss any of our latest content. It also helps with the algorithm so we can get more great Jet fans in here. Hit the remember button. So again, you can jump in on the live streams. I will remind everyone, we go live after every single Jets game. So we will come back with instant analysis. We'll be jumping on after Tampa next week. We'll give us our thoughts in Tampa. It's going to be a scorcher. I think it's going to be definitely a hot game, and it will definitely be something to keep an eye on. But all I'm hoping for is that the Jets are not 0-3 when they head to Miami on Monday night. That's going to do it for this episode of Rich Sports Talk. Thank you, everyone, for joining us as always. You guys have asked some amazing questions as always. Always appreciate the feedback and the support for the channel. Looking forward to talking to you next time here on Rich Sports Talk.